Thank you, Doug, and I'm glad you sort of set things up that way, because that changes how I want to start talking to everybody. But before I get into it, I want to say, I feel so blessed. Also, I've seen how hard you've been working, and I see how much attention and love and support the Digibot community has been showing. And that's, I think I said it last time, but it really, it warms my heart. It makes me feel it's nice it's great to be a producer and to create things. That's my passion, of course. But it's also really nice to be able to interface directly with the people for whom I'm doing this, and to see that the response is so positive and so supportive. And so that really is heartwarming. Um, and it has been a really positive few weeks. Certainly, there have been a lot of stressful moments over the last few years. um, and one of those moments, more than one of those moments, has been, I'm not litigious. I don't like being in court. I don't like lawsuits. In fact, I like to talk about all of the patents that I have and that the company has. And I've got more than 110 issued patents in all these core technologies for high tech and internet. I like to talk about patents in the context of um, they're a fantastic tool to show just how creative the team is, how insightful, how good we are at problem solving, where we can approach a technical hurdle that nobody has ever been able to overcome. And we say, we're gonna put our money and our brain power and our superpowers as a team together and figure out there must be a way to do this, and you achieve it. And then as a badge of honor, you get awarded a patent. And for posterity, everybody can see, we were the first, we were the ones who solved this problem. But of course, the reason why patents are protected in the United States Constitution as one of the major property rights that's granted, that was granted by the founding fathers, is in order for a country to be successful, you want to have innovation, and to protect that innovation and the innovators, you want to bring inventors and problem solvers into your community, into your country, and know that if they spend, well, let me take this back to, let's say, my perspective. If I spend tens of millions of dollars that I earned myself, and I have a whole team, and we are working on a problem which is very speculative. The net result requires us to succeed on all kinds of fronts. A patent, or a group of patents, acts as an insurance policy. I can confidently dedicate years of my life to solving these problems, because even if we are not the ones who ultimately monetize this, as happens very often, the person who invented the axle, for example, that wasn't Henry Ford, right? But when you've solved the problem and it becomes an important instrument, an important tool in an industry, you could say, even if it wasn't us who ultimately delivered the car, we're the ones who made it possible. And so we get rewarded, we get remunerated for our effort. And that's really what patents are all about. It's to foster innovation, not just at giant companies, but even at the individual inventor level, because there's an understanding that work will not just be stolen by a large company. And thank you very much for all of your work. We'll take it from here. So that's sort of the lay of the land, the way that I view things. And of course, the patents have evolved quite a bit since the Constitution. There have been a lot of changes, and a lot of them have just like everything, things get tested in courts, and they go in ways which may or may not follow what really the original intent was to protect small inventors. If you're a giant company anyway, you don't necessarily need the protection of patents. We, as a company, have lots and lots of patents, particularly in the metaverse space. And some of those patents have been for several years now, for many years, being litigated against Epic Games and Fortnite. Fortnite has put on concerts and put on other various events, utilizing technology which, because it's not in front of the judge yet, we're not actually at trial, I need to say, which I believe utilizes our technology, our protected technology. And one of the tactics which was used by Epic Games and their army of lawyers, I can't believe, I mean, let me step back here to say we didn't just run off half-cocked and sue them. I approached them multiple times through multiple different channels, offering a cooperative opportunities, offering to, consult and work together. And, if you're going to put on concerts, let me, as the inventor of behind the technology, which makes it possible to do this. And it's very advanced kind of technology for how data flows among the computer systems to allow you to have an event where you can have millions of people viewing a single event in real time. This was a problem that Sony couldn't solve. You go back to the records and look at how Sony was trying to solve this problem, and they ultimately gave up. Google couldn't solve it, with their Lively system. We solved it, and we patented it. Of course, when you patent something, you publish it. So everybody can see your solutions, everybody can see the tech, and that's the deal that you make, is we'll publish it, we'll make this available to the world, but if you use it, you have to talk to us first and get a license. So we approached multiple times, Olive Branch and all that. But when it came down to it, we've been fought tooth and nail every step of the way. One of the things that happened was that one of our primary patents got put back to the patent office for re-examination, where Epic said, this patent never should have been issued. Here are a bunch of deficiencies with the way that it was examined, and here's other evidence to say that it shouldn't have been issued. And this, of course, causes all kinds of problems after years of preparing and doing depositions. And, I won't bore everybody with all the legal, but you can imagine this massive lawsuit, so much time, so much paperwork, so many, meetings and lawyers and all that, hearings and all that. We did just get information back from the patent office, and they reaffirmed the issuance of the patent on all of the claims that are of any importance. We could have continued to fight on claims which were not material to the case, but chose instead, we will just take the reissue of the patent. And so, a monumental victory here, where, look, at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. And as long as you're willing to stand your ground and not be cowed and intimidated, and are able to come up with the cost to fight it, we all hope that the truth will prevail. And so that, yes, that has been a very exciting development. I'm on cloud nine, because, you never really know, even though
Yes.
you know what I'm saying.
You said something, and I hadn't thought about this, and I know you got other stuff to reveal, and we want to get into that. But sitting on my side of the desk, I know you're going through this, okay? And I think, okay, well, Brian's got a team of lawyers, and they're handling it, and Brian's doing his thing. But I never really considered, buddy, the time you had to take in depositions, the time you had to take meeting with the lawyers, the time, and I just know my life. I don't build the kind of software you build, but I build software.
Right?
I don't have time for that. You know? And
It's
so hats off to you to take on that burden, because I know you had to have sleepless nights and just worrying and dealing with lawyers. Who wants to deal with lawyers anyways? But you know,
yes, on both. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I love my team, but who wants to deal with lawyers on both sides? I mean,
yeah,
one side is actively hostile, and one side is okay. Let's go through everything again from
right,
here we gotta. Okay, yes, yes. And it is a lot of time, and it is a lot of brain power, and it really is. I mean, the lawfare, I mean, in this context, where when somebody doesn't want, when somebody, let's say, in my opinion, knows that they're wrong,
right,
knows that they've done something, but they are unwilling for ego purposes or because they have investors to whom they didn't disclose that they were doing this. And I'm not making any allegations against any particular person. Let's be clear here. I'm talking in
right,
the abstract. Um, so it 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 creates such a hostile, like, when you can needle the other side with trivial, non-relevant portions of the law and say, okay, we're going to go through because we know we're going to be sitting you down for day after day after day. And we are just going to go through everything, including things like, from my standpoint, the patent is the patent. Look at it. It says
right,
what it says. Why do we need to talk for weeks about, like, what I did growing up? And trying to find ways to trip me up, or things that, imperfections in my character maybe that are going to be used to character assassinate me, or who knows, right? But it
right,
is a lot of mental gymnastics, and it is exhausting, and especially when you're sitting here going, okay, and I have like 8 teams of different people working on different stuff that I'm trying to coordinate while I'm sitting here in your
right.
offices, trying to figure out if I can get a cream in my coffee so I can stay awake. Uh, you know, it has been an ordeal, but I'll tell you, it is feeling very gratifying. There is a settlement conference um, in August, and this news from the patent office. I think if it was me, I'd absolutely be shaking in my boots at this point. And I'd really want to put out something which was a show of working together, that but I could go on for quite a bit about um, the way that the legal system was designed, and I'll tell you the short version. If I skip to the end, I think the U.S. legal system, when it's being operated above board, legitimately the way that it was designed, any two rational parties that are at odds will settle immediately,
Hmm.
because you can't really win if you account for all of the time and all of the lawyer fees and everything. So much of the so much gets bled out to the lawyers that even when you win, you end up typically, uh, it's a fraction of what you could have gotten if people had
Yeah,
everybody had pulled everything right out the gate. Of course, there are occasions where, you know, one party is behaving irrationally and the other party ends up winning, and the win is very substantial. And we have seen billion-dollar patent judgments lately. We've seen $3 billion patent judgments lately. And I got to think, if this gets taken all the way to the end, like, uh, this is major stuff. We're not talking about, somebody who ripped off you know, a new gla eyeglasses or something.
Well,
So
well, and they made millions in what they did. That's the key, right? It's not that they broke your patent and made $100. They broke the
right,
patent and made millions. But even beyond this, buddy, and once it settles, and it settles in your favor, and God willing, that all happens, and we all believe that, right? Way beyond that, this becomes the foundation for so many other projects moving forward. So
right,
we're not just talking. I say you got $1 billion judgment. Well, great, that's that's really good for you and all of us.
right,
But it's absolutely not just that.
right,
We're talking about the future of the world. Really, when we talk
right,
about meta in general, metaverse, otherverse in general, we're talking about the way the world is going to go, and we're talking about being the foundation of that. And then that to me becomes mind-blowing. Yes, great. I hope you get the billion or 3 billion or even 5 billion. That would be a real, I know, needed and great blessing for you.
ice cream for everybody. Yes.
Right, right. But beyond that, it sets the foundation
Right.
for Meta, Facebook. It sets a foundation for Sandbox and anybody else in this space.
Right. And I think that that's really the important key is, looking at the obvious party that is putting on these big concerts and is the initial sort of if things had gone according to my plan right out the gate, they would have come in, it would have been a positive discussion. Look, we've got additional technologies which we keep as trade secrets. You won't even find them as patents. We could elevate your system, we could work together, and we could blow up.
Mm-hmm.
But the alternative path here is, okay, well, we're going to fight it. We'll take you to the end. We get judgments, and then we turn around to everybody else in the industry, and nobody else in the industry I don't think is gonna want to do battle. I mean, if you have the you know I don't know why this analogy comes to mind, but having no experience with the prison system, I hear, your first day in prison, you find the toughest guy and you pop him in the face, and you establish yourself, right? I mean, nobody else is going to mess with this after that. With the 80 plus patents in the metaverse space, we've got a very strong portfolio. I would say probably the strongest portfolio. I mean, I can't imagine, even if somebody were to have more patents, typically patents that I've seen in this space are absolute garbage. None of ours is garbage. I mean, we really, really have the goods here. And I think that we'll be able to work out partnerships and deals with every person in the space. Bring them on the platform, or at a minimum, collaborate with them on what they're doing if it's really not compatible with our platform. But
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Perry. I will try to avoid having to punch the
For a guy in
the
prison.
guy.
Yeah, we don't want you to go there, and we don't want you to do that. Um, but anyways, well, let's switch subjects now, because I think everybody here, and I want to speak directly to Digi and nSights. If you guys, I know a lot of people are moving money over and doing things. Wake up, okay, because this is a big deal. But Brian, you have things to show us this morning too, right?
I do. So, we had our trunk reveal event, and that was great. But that is still running on software, the beta software that we came out with in September. And we have been planning. I guess I guess I'll talk for another minute before I show things. Um, we've been planning and building another version. Of course, I had been intending to update the current version as we went, um, but things became more and more elaborate. And so rather than spending the time updating the prior version works okay unless we have lots and lots of people like we did for the trunk open event. And then it slowed down. I had to have some tech staff helping us out. to keep it all stable. The version that's coming out in the next, well, let's say next month. I was going to say in the next couple of weeks, but I always hate to put an actual timeline on it. This includes all of the work from, well, it includes much of the work from many of the teams. And I know the exciting part for me is that I get to see it. I get to see this as it goes. And I always want to grab people and show them, like, look at what we've got going on. And I rarely have the opportunity to do it. So I finally broke down and I said, look, I need videos. I need some videos so that people get a sense of what's happening here for real and what's coming out. The reason why things have taken this long is, and I want to test this analogy here. I haven't discussed this with people before. But when you think about what we're building here, which is the Xeon browser and the Metaverse platform, and I constantly say it's the next generation of the internet, really what we are building is the equivalent of a new operating system for the web. And that operating system, it uses the front-facing, the Xeon browser, the back end, the server system, the back end, which is a globally distributed database, right? Because we have to be able to scale this to billions of people. So the data, just the complexity of the database to do that. And then all of the API calls. And when I say API calls, if you're familiar with coding, this is not like a normal API system. These are API calls that go between each of these pieces. They get the domain name system stuff, like all of the root level protocols in an API call, all like the nervous system of a body. And what ends up getting seen by the public are the apps that run on the operating system. So 99% of the work is done on the operating system at this point, and we got like 1% on the apps. And I'm going to show you a couple of these apps which are out there now. But the operating system is completed. This generation is completed, and now the next couple of weeks is they're hooking up all of the apps that all of my other teams have been building. And so now I can start to show, and I'm going to show you two of them here. Some of these apps, they're really not apps, some of the features, but to think of it in that context. And so without further ado, I'll share my screen here. And that just worked like a charm.
Be sure to share your sound too if there's going to be sound, buddy.
Oh, correct. And there is sound. And so share screen.
Lower left corner, when you share screen, lower left corner will be share sound.
It usually is, but it has changed location here.
They did. They moved it on us.
Oh.
Yeah. Those developers are doing this stuff all the time.
Optimize the screen sharing for the best full screen video clip viewing experience. Well, why not? Okay.
Good.
Now, this video has some quick cuts in it, so I'm not sure how well it plays over Zoom. You'll all have to let me know when we played it.
And before you started, buddy, just to clarify that what everybody's going to see here, lots of times when people develop this stuff, they go out and they create the graphics and they do this. You actually did a video of Utherverse, right? This isn't a replicate, or this isn't something that was designed to show what it's going to look like. This is what it looks like. This is it.
Right. And this is what's coming out. This is what's coming out in the next month. All right. You can hear it?
Yes.
The virtual fashion industry in the metaverse is revolutionizing the way we perceive and engage with fashion, offering limitless creativity and sustainable alternatives to physical garments. With the new closet system debuting in the next Xeon update, we have the perfect opportunity to demo one of the many use cases for the UTHX token. Everyone starts with getting dressed, so let's start here too. Each new account will start with a limited set of clothing. This is the basic wardrobe, and while these clothes are nice, it's the same closet that all other users will have. So naturally, everyone will want to customize their own style right away. In this closet, we are seeing a user that has decided to upgrade to a premium account. For about $20 worth of UTHX, she became a VIP member and has unlocked all of the clothing, hair, and accessory slots that you see on the left. As a basic account, her options were much more limited. Now let's watch her cycle through all of the various styles and colorways in her closet. Not only can she change outfits, but she can try different hairstyles, hair colors, jewelry, body art, tattoos, and shoes. As a VIP member, she will have access to a much bigger wardrobe in her closet, makeup, and accessories than a basic member. What you are seeing here, however, is just her starter pack. Eventually, she will want to expand her wardrobe and style even further, and will want to go shopping. Store owners and designers will sell all kinds of unique and different content for the closet that she can buy using UTHX. The shop owner will need to pay their rent in UTHX. Eventually, they will also want to market their store on billboards and in the online catalog, all of which requires the UTHX token as well. An industry of virtual fashion designers is already primed to create innovative and exciting designs for these shop owners to sell. When their creations are sold, they get paid in UTHX. This is how the thriving Utherverse economy creates whole industries within the Metaverse community, and those industries all transact with the UTHX token. This is just one example of hundreds of industries like this that all depend on UTHX, making UTHX one of the most important utility tokens that has ever been created.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, I just gotta say, I am so glad I own a lot of that.
I have chills.
Oh my
All right,
God.
so I guess the video played all right over Zoom.
Oh,
Right.
so good. Oh my
Right.
gosh. It
uh,
really solidified so much. You know, when you said then the shop owners are paying rent to be there, right? And this is incredible. This is beyond my wildest dreams. This
Right.
is fantastic.
Well, and I've heard rumors of people in other spaces, paying more for a Gucci bag that was virtual than they paid for the real Gucci bag. In my mind, I just, it's just so hard for us, at least my age, to go there. But I watch my kids play Roadblock and my grandkids. This is their world.
And I'll tell you something. This is one of those rare instances where, at least for people of our generation, I think, when you think about it in theory, you think in theory, why would anybody, like, why do you really need shoes for your avatar? Who cares, your skins or your tattoos? But then in practice, you've gone out to a club in the metaverse. I mean, obviously, I know this from great amounts of experience where I've done this for decades. You go to a comedy club, and then you go out to a movie, and you meet people, and you start to feel like, geez, I'm wearing the same outfit. And people are taking video, and they are taking pictures, and I really should change my outfit. And once you have that epiphany, and people in younger generations seem to get that much more quickly. And then, when we've added now makeup features, and, I really want to make another version of this video because it goes through some of the clothing really quickly. We don't go through like some of the really stunning footage that I've got where, you know, she's changing scarves and the hairs, you know, the earrings, going through the earrings and the necklaces and the gloves, the underwear, like there's so much to it.
Right.
And, you know, really it becomes true where you just want to support your favorite you find good fashion designers, and now I want to look stylish. And really that's one tiny slice here. Um, um, uh, uh, so, Marty, I'm not sure gaps in clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, Marty,
So
you can send that in and let us know more specifically what you're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all of that. You know, a big part of the challenge with the clothing system is how it layers and how you can take on and off layers. So, for example, can you be wearing a ring under a glove? The layering system is all there. I didn't see any of what you're talking about.
Well, she may be not talking about physical gaps and stuff. Maybe she's talking about gaps in style, which you've already addressed in saying that this creates an opportunity for guys like me or developers or designers or builders to come in and design different types of clothes, right?
Right, of course. And that's the beauty is, you know, when I talk about in the video, the starter pack gives everybody, you know, a basic wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not going to be possible. And I wouldn't want to have a whole style division of our company that's like out there trying to figure out, you know, what's the latest style. I want you know, these clothing manufacturers, these great brands to come in, as well as, and I think what really we're going to see here are new fashion influencers who are going to come in with fashions that they couldn't sell to, you know, any of these top, you know, Gucci level clothing designers,
Right.
But that become popular with the public. So
yeah. You know, Brian, I just had a revelation what you just said, because we've already seen this happen in the music industry.
Yeah.
Where an artist will go out, start a YouTube channel or start a TikTok or whatever and have this massive following. Then the labels are willing to talk to them, right? I did not see this coming in this space, but a designer that can't get a contract with a clothing manufacturer becomes extremely successful in this space. Now they get the deal, right?
Right. Or they get venture funding to start their own
right
brand, right? And it creates, just like what happened in the music industry, because that's a perfect analogy to this, is democratization of opportunity here. It's not being filtered through buyers and, you know, they've got their preferences or styles. It's, I know what people are going to want, I'm going to deliver it. And if they want it, it sells. And selling in the metaverse translates right away to selling in the real world.
Right.
And as long as we're talking about the music industry, I think this one will be a particular shout out to Deb here. So
our DJ Deb.
I'll share my second video of the day here. Oh, wait. Okay, tell me, did I share it with sound?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, everybody, enjoy this one.
Welcome to Zayon. Are you a DJ or musician looking to take your music to the next level? This quick start guide will take you through the basic functionality of our virtual sampler and get you started on your journey to becoming a DJ in the metaverse. This sampler allows you to make your own beats by selecting and programming various different sounds that you can put together in whatever sequence you choose. First, click the power button to start. and then click on a cell to load an audio clip. Next, click on the tab to search through musical genres or instruments that you'd like to use. Select the clip you want to use. Once selected, you can then load the clip into a cell. Keep adding sounds until you have all the pieces you need to compose your song. I think I'll get some fat beats to start with, and then I'll add some keyboard sounds. Remember, you're the DJ. This is your chance to let your creativity flow with the music. As you're playing the clips, you adjust the volume level, but you can also adjust the pitch, speeding them up or down. Left-click on a loaded cell to start, and stop the audio clip as you go about making your beat. Right-click on a cell to change the color or add a new clip. When you're done, just click on the power button to turn the machine off. We hope you had fun making some amazing music, and we look forward to hearing your creation in world. See you soon.
That
Yeah,
is
so-
crazy fun. Oh my
That's a
gosh.
wow. That's a wow.
What we don't show there are the other boards that are available, boards where you've got pyrotechnics, so you can have the light shows, you can change the environment, you can actually, create mists or, fireworks or laser shows, right? So you've got all these options. And again, here, I think it's a new type of influencer that's going to become world famous. You come in, you upload a bunch of samples that you've created for your tracks, you arrange them on your board. I mean, I don't know how all this DJ stuff works personally, but I do know that it's fantastic when somebody is a good DJ.
Right.
And they have all of that control to able to create music. I can again see people that couldn't get signed for a club. Maybe they're somebody who prefers to stay at home and but has great musical talent, to be able to play for millions of people right in world. Just one more app, like there's thousands of these, right? And as all of these start to roll out in the next version of beta next month, I figured that these are a couple of good places to start, just to sort of because I appreciate that it sometimes is difficult for people to understand just the depth of what it is to mean metaverse and how it is that it could be enjoyable, how it is that, why would people want to do that? And I think, if you've got musical proclivities or inspiration to come in and practice being a DJ, you could do this in your, in your penthouse apartment in world. Get the soundboard and start practicing. If you're a clothing designer, if you're an entrepreneur, to be able to get a store or a clothing store, and then 10 million other things, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And really what the revelation I'm having today, and I kind of had this foundation anyways, is the depth of opportunity. When we first met in Scottsdale, I'm thinking, okay, yes, he has Metaverse, and you talked about really building the backbone of the metaverse, right? And I understood that and stuff. But there's a number of things going on here. You have a world that's being created and other worlds that are being created, and all of that will monetize almost every way that we monetize today in what we call the real world. But you said something, and I'm gonna date myself, and I'm gonna take us back to something that you said, and I want you to tag on this a little bit. I've been in the industry back when it was CPM and working with Adam Osborne and David Kay and all those guys back in those days. And you probably know some of those names, but that was a long time ago. I was around when Bill Gates had IBM come and meet with him because they thought he owned CPM, right? And I knew Bill back then, and he didn't. he sent them to the guy that did own CPM. He didn't show up. So he went back to Bill. Bill bought DOS, and we started Microsoft. Fairly big company. Okay. But when I talk about multiple levels of opportunity here, you said one word about owning an operating system that's going to be the new operating system of the future. And I want people to understand that Bill went from owning nothing, bought DOS, and now Microsoft exists, one of the largest companies in the world. This goes so far beyond that, Brian.
Yeah, you're right. And it's something I guess, we can start to drill down to, because I've had a chance to talk to you now over several sessions, and people are more familiar. It's not, we don't need to stay at the very top sort of tip of the iceberg level. The reason why this has been a 20-year project is because this is really the reconstitution of the internet itself, where we have been working to correct all of the deficiencies in the way that the internet sort of organically came about. And that has meant re-architecting at the root level a lot of protocols and systems that just are subject to all kinds of problems, whether it's denial of service and hack attacks, or whether it's just phishing attacks at a higher level, whether it's fraud or spam, all of these pieces. And you go from that root level. And the other architectural piece that's been a real challenge is, when you think about a game, like let's say a successful game like World of Warcraft, the one that comes to mind for some reason, it's distributed in server clusters in regions around the globe, and you're asked to pick a server that you're going on. So for me, I'm going on North America. I'm something close to Vancouver, right? The new version of the World Wide Web, the Metaverse web, or what I used to call the virtual world web, it doesn't work like that. People from all over the world need to be able to access everything anywhere in the world. And there really aren't database solutions there that could accommodate the entire internet on a database, right? So how do you do a scalable database where in real time you could have billions of people connecting? And I think that should give insight into the vision of where we're going here. We didn't design this to have a few 100,000 or 1 million people, or just to be regional in North America and to do concerts. We designed this to consume the existing web as part of. So the web as it exists, I envision will be a tool within the metaverse. And I need to create videos for this, because the way that we've got this running is so cool. Where, I may have talked about it a little bit, where you can surf the web, and, I've got an iPad and I'm surfing the web, and I can hand this over to somebody, and then they can go where I left off, and, see what I've been looking at, just like you would at home. Okay, look, I came across this site, or I'm surfing my Facebook, check out these pictures, and you can hand it to somebody, right?
Wow.
But as a tool within the metaverse, which is now a whole other structure that's built on top of the web that pulls it all together, but also replumbs a bunch of the plumbing underneath to create things like, I know we're talking about, gaps in clothing, maybe, or something like that. To be able to architect where, if you're going to be going to a casino, you are automatically going to be KYC'd and go through a portal there. I mean, you can't just walk into the casino. So that improves on. Everybody still here? I see Deb is nodding. I think maybe Doug is.
Oh, did we lose Doug?
Yeah.
All right, he'll be back.
Okay, but other people are here. So, if you're going to go to a casino, you're automatically age verified. You're not getting on the casino floor. If you're going to go to a gentleman's club, you're automatically age verified as appropriate. Because these things don't go away. But the way that the internet itself was architected is there's just no systems in place to enforce that type of when appropriate KYC, when not appropriate, when it's unnecessary, to have decentralization, and to have, the ultimate. The other thing I think that I've been thinking a lot about is the way that we have this all structured. The other reason why I think, this has been such a long project, and I don't know, Doug, Deb, if I go off the rails here a little bit, bring me back, right? But I was reminded about, through a recent event, I don't like to talk politics, but through a recent event about states' rights. And, I study a lot of history. I study a lot of everything, but history and civics, one of my favorite subjects. The founding fathers of the United States, especially these days, I don't think they'd get the recognition and credit that they deserve. They were absolute geniuses. They developed a document, the Constitution, which is possibly the most important document ever created. And when people are asked, why is it so important, I think very few people can answer. But thinking about states' rights and hearing about it again, I realized, I remembered that this is really largely what I based our decentralization structure around. I copied the framers of the Constitution and what they tried to do with checks and balances, with what needs to be centralized and what needs to be decentralized. And the value here, the value of states' rights is, the way that they looked at this. They said different groups of people will have different interests and they want to live life differently. And therefore, they should be allowed to cluster together with other people that want to live life the same way. And if people in that community don't want to live that way, well, they've got 49 other options. But the states are all experimental test beds for, what sort of rules you're going to have and how people will like to live. And people will self-separate into these groups so that they maximize their possible enjoyment in life. And if they decide that they don't fit in, you don't try necessarily to change the opinion of everybody else around you. You go somewhere which is more appropriate. So if you think about like the Quakers, right? Or, maybe more modernly, you think about Mormons. It's probably not appropriate in Utah, in a Mormon stronghold, or in an Amish, let's say an Amish stronghold, even better, to say, well, we're going to open an Apple store, we're going to pave roads for a highway, and we're going to put up cell towers. Well, no, there's a certain lifestyle that they want to live there, and they get to make those rules. They can always leave when they want the high-tech life. Mormons may not want, you get the picture. And what I looked at that and said, I want to do that for our decentralization system. So I'm going to build a metaverse where everybody is photorealistic, as you can see in the avatars, particularly, in the new footage, where we say actual footage. I mean, you can modify that avatar to look however you want, but she is clearly human, and gorgeous. I mean, every part is now very high level. You don't have any of this uncanny valley where she looks off. So you can morph her into any ethnicity and any gender or whatever. But we want to have a photorealistic metaverse where we can put on fashion shows and people can see what the clothes are going to look like. We can put on conventions, and you can have serious business being done. But I know that there is demand also for all kinds of other metaverses where people are playing first-person shooter games, metaverses where physics don't work the same. You can fly or you can float, or right. Metaverses where you're a dragon or a dinosaur, or Dungeons and Dragons. Well, experiment. I think some of them are crazy. I think some of the stuff that I've seen out there that people want to do, like, I don't see how that's actually going to work. But on the other hand, I have no idea what's crazy anymore. The last few years have proven to be, I might be completely off base. Maybe everybody wants to live in a tentacle world where, robots and sea monsters are, the main characters. Giving that sort of decentralized power, and it all interconnects. And if you don't like it, go somewhere else. And if you do like it, talk to your friends and have them there. And I think, copying sort of this genius experimental test bed where not everybody needs to play by the same rules, but some rules you need to play by. Yeah. You can't steal from people, right? You can't, you can't see content that is age inappropriate unless you've been age verified or KYC'd. And so we have these root level rules and laws, which are analogous to the federal government. And on top of that, everybody builds their little state or local, and they make those rules, and we give as much liberty as we can to that paradigm. And boy, when I really dig down, I start to recover, like, all of these other, you say that I'm a busy guy. Once you start to do all of this, you realize, and again, this comes from the experience, and I'm so glad that we've gone through these generations, and this isn't our first rodeo. Because one of the things you realize, even watching that video, you say, well, okay, so you're going to have clothing designers, and somebody's going to come in and they're going to say, I know for a fact, they're going to come in and they're going to say, that piece of clothing looks really good. It's selling really well. I can make that too. I'm going to make a knockoff of that. No one will be able to tell the difference, and I'll upload that as my design. Okay, so we need to have systems in place to prevent knockoffs and similar items. And then you have to have a world justice system to adjudicate, is this too close to this design? Who put it up first, right? And so now we've built everything in place so that we know these things, not like it had been done in the past. Now we actually will be able to generate the evidence, time-stamped and watermarked, right? So that when these things happen, even to the point where we're going to be allowing people to register not just the domain name for their metaverse, but their business name, for example, as an in-world trademark office or copyright office.
Wow.
Right? And you have to have these things if you're really going to have this next generation internet, because if I'm sitting here in Canada and you turn around in, El Salvador and decide to knock off my business and take my name and all of that, well, how in the world would I sue you over the internet? How would I shut you down? We don't want people to have all these exorbitant costs or have to deal with these fraudulent duplicates and intellectual property thieves. So all of those pieces, and still this is the tip of the iceberg, but you can imagine all of the depth of understanding which has gone into the building. And that's why it's taken so long and it's taken so much experience. But the product that's coming out, right? I mean, no one's even thinking about these things,
right,
that we're implementing.
Well, you have 20 years of being in this space, and anything that you start developing, you just don't know what you don't know until you get there, right? And you have the years of experience of getting there and knowing these things. And like I would have not thought about a lot of what you just said, but when you say it, you go, well, yeah, that makes sense, right? And so, yeah, it has to be that way.
And if you haven't built the foundation with that in mind, trying to retrofit it after the fact is impossible.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you already got a nightmare on your hands. You
Right.
launch it without that, you're already underwater.
Right.
Yeah, and no
And
recovery.
it's really what I mean when I say I look at these other metaverses, and there's too much even to talk about, but the way that I describe it is they've painted themselves into a corner and they can't get out.
Right.
And I know this because the only way we could get out was, okay, we painted ourselves into a corner, multiple corners in our generation one. Let's start over and let's build Gen 2. And then did the same thing with Gen 2. Let's build Gen 3. And now we're on the fourth generation, the fourth production generation. And now we know the corners, right? We know
Right.
what needs to be done. So it's that experience for sure.
Right. Well, I can't wait. I mean, I already know a couple of worlds I want to create, so I can't wait. And so
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun to play
Yeah.
in your world, buddy. It's going to be
Thank you.
fun.
In
Yeah.
Thank you.
our
And it's
world, I mean, this is what I love the most about it, right? You can be yourself. You can just be
right.
yourself, and you don't have to
Uh,
worry about what other people are doing or want you to do.
Yeah.
Or I just think that is so beautiful the way that you built this, Brian.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Deb said
Thank
something
you.
about being yourself, and I don't know if I've shared this story with you, Brian, or not. Some of the people on the call have heard this story before, and I won't say names, but I'm going to say from a psychological standpoint, how important what you've developed is. I had a friend who was a psychologist. He was working with a guy for many, many years, and the guy all of a sudden started getting better. So my friend asked him, he said, what changed? What changed in our dialogue? And, because I see real improvements going on. And he said, Doc, and he said, I started playing this game called Sim City. And I created a character in Sim City, and that character was having more fun in Sim City than I was having in my life. And then I realized I was that character, and my life changed.
Yes.
And we're going to see that. We're going to see people being able to self-realize, self-express, and really break out of shells and become all they can be.
I mean, I love just having these discussions and being able to recall back to all these different stories over the years of people that have been in the metaverse. My favorite story about the guy who writes to me, he's paraplegic, and he was finally able to dance again, and
Wow.
met a woman, and they ended up getting married, and how the platform changed his life. And that really was a motivator. I said, I can never stop doing this after I've heard that.
Right.
But other anecdotes that I've heard, you're exactly right. I mean, we've had AA and NA meetings that take place in World all the time. And the interesting thing about that is, and other therapies, where the interesting thing about it is people can do things as an avatar, particularly with their therapist, that they couldn't really do going to a session. So let's go into World, let's go out to, you don't have to go out to a packed club, but let's just go out to a place where other people could walk by. And we could sit there and have a private chat, but you're seeing other people walk by and sort of introduce people that have psychological hang-ups or whatever, as these new kinds of therapies. I mean, the use cases become so profound once people actually dip their toe in it.
Right.
And particularly sort of these entrepreneurial or these out-of-the-box thinkers like this particular therapy group, out of the box. This is a great way to introduce introverts to, and now let me tell you how to start up a conversation, right? Just type in, hi, that sounds interesting, or whatever, right? And they get, sort of get your sea legs.
Right.
Lots and lots of things.
Yeah.
But definitely lots to look forward to. It sort of drives me crazy all the time where I get to see things and I'm like, okay, I cannot contain it anymore. This has to be released. So,
Yeah. Well, we're excited for next month, brother. I know development, there's always things happening and we we pray and hope that you hit your deadlines and you meet your goals, but no matter what happens, we're here with you and
thank you.
we're in the journey, and we believe in what you're developing, and and we love being part of changing the world. So, and
Yeah,
thank you for
sure.
allowing us to do that. So,
My pleasure. Thanks for another super hour of great conversation. I love it.
oh yeah, and thank you
Thank you,
for taking
Brian.
the time, buddy. All
You
right,
bet.
we'll let
All
Brian
right.
go. I got a couple things for all of
Thanks,
the
everybody.
group. Brian,
Thank
take
you.
care,
Yeah.
brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Doug, before we go too far, I want to show people where to go get the pre-sale.
Okay, let's do that.
All right.
We're gonna drive this thing, guys, and change our lives here physically while we change the world virtually. So go
Yeah.
ahead, Deb.
All right. Try and here we go. You are sharing. Sorry, I'm having just a
And there's a link that you guys use so that you get credit for the additional tokens and stuff that we're going to give out. So Deb will take you through that.
Yeah, weird. So I'm clicking.
They may be working on it. I had them come in today.
That is weird. That is weird. Okay. Okay, here we go. So if you have nSights, guys, if you log into your nSights account and scroll down to the link that says Utherverse right here. When you're on this page, you're going to click Access Presale. And if you have Brave browser and you're Deborah Caswell, you're going to get this weird, we can't find anybody else that gets this weird glitch, but just X out of that. And then Utherverse is here. And you are going to click on buy. All right.
They are working on it today.
They're working on it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So this is one.
They had to clean up some numbers, and I gave it to him last night.
Sure.
Muslim had him come in. He's on his way to the hospital, and he still had him come in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
So if you have nSights, you're going to find it here. If you have Digibot only and you don't have an nSights account, you're going to come here, Digi only member, right down here, click this link, put your username in, click submit, A183, click submit. And it's not found. Oh, because I already, let's do one more. And we're adding, we are adding 2FA to this. Okay, good. Well, you'll do that. And if you don't have either of those accounts, you're going to come out here to our main website, nsightsdefitrader.io, and you're going to click right here on this Utherverse link. You're going to go ahead and give us your name, your email address. You're going to verify, you're going to go through some steps, but you're going to get to the pre-sale here. You're also going to get a back-end nSights account so that you can track your profits with your Utherverse tokens and any other tokens that you may have. No, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble.
You're technical today. So guys, we made a lot of changes this week to the back end where you can actually do cost averaging now. When you bring coins in, you can buy additional tokens to a coin. We'll be going through that in our lives this week, and I'll be demoing that this week for everybody, so you can actually see that happen. You can take all of your trades out of Digi, move them into this system. You could put them all together and get one cost average, or you can do it the way I'm going to do it, and I'll show it this week, where each trade, I add Utherverse tokens to each trade from Digi, so I'm cost averaging each one, and I can keep track of each one and know when it's profitable and making money. So the software has gotten very advanced this week. It's going to be really exciting. What I do know is that I have a lot of people that are still in pending, and if you're having challenges moving money from Kraken or Binance and getting that money to a point where you can go out and buy your UTHX tokens. We'll be doing a video on that this week, and I'll be using my account, and I'll have Deb actually walk me through. So I'll be like you guys. I'll have her walk me through. You can see what she tells me to do, and we'll just go through the process so that you guys can have a documented recording of that being done, at least again, and see it another time, and so that you can move forward. If you get stuck, though, you can let Candace know. Guys, no financial advice. We're not financial advisors. But and there's always big ifs here. If Brian can pull off what he's trying to pull off, absolutely one of the biggest opportunities of our lifetime. That's my personal belief. Okay. And so, you keep seeing these things, you decide how much you want to play and how you want to participate. But don't miss out on taking advantage of this, especially if you got some of the older negative trades in Digi, which ultimately will probably come back and they'll cost average their way out. But if you want to do something bigger, don't hesitate. Reach out to Candace, reach out to us. We can help you out. So hopefully you enjoyed today.
Yeah,
Deb?
real quick, Doug, I just want to make sure everybody knows that was my computer. It's overheating, so I can hear it. So go ahead and go out and give it a try. Go get your Utherverse tokens. But Doug, you said something. When you've got a coin like DOGE, right? And you've got everybody so excited because that is supposed to be the currency of Mars, right? When we get to Mars, right? And you've got everybody holding on and so excited for that moment. Wake up.
Right.
Because we have this moment and it's the currency. It is the currency of the Utherverse platform, which it will hold so many metaverses. It's incredible. Did you hear him say we will pay in UTHX?
UTHX, right.
People will rent their space in UTHX. Everything is UTHX, guys.
Yeah. Now, Deb, I may be wrong here, and granted, I'm wrong from time to time.
Oh,
I think that we might launch Utherverse and Metaverse before we get to Mars. Just a guess.
Thinking maybe.
Yeah. So
You're
anyways,
wrong about a lot of things, but but not that one.
Anyways, guys, we just keep wanting to give you guys insights into what's going on here, and hopefully you can take advantage of it. We're a little bit over time, but I think it was a great call. Look for this week. We're going to try to specifically get some things done this week on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays live, so that you guys can see how things are working and how to take advantage of that. So be looking for that. Okay. Deb, Candace, that's all I got. What a wonderful day. Brian, what a generous man to give us so much time, huh?
So generous.